Hello, and thanks so much for continuing to tune in. In this lesson, we'll be using GitHub Copilot to spin up an Express.js server with middleware. And we're actually going to continue our prior video in which we generated some starter data. And instead of like the even section before where we were fetching that data down from an API, we're going to be spinning up that data and making it available ourselves. That way we've generated some data with the API that we're making available through a server. Before our next lesson, we'll finally be creating a static index.html file to view and interact with that data within our web browser to make it like a full stack application, including the browser and the server, all with fun artificial intelligent tools. Artificially intelligent tools? Yeah, those. All right. Well, thank you so much. Let's get going right here. If you see, I'm in a directory, but it has the same dummy data. No, I should not call it that. The same starter data that we had in our lesson last time, where it was like the Reverend MLK, Abraham Lincoln, Mae Jemison, Tom Hanks. We've got this data, and it's available right here in our index.js. Okay, so I'm actually going to open up my terminal, and I know that I'm going to be using Express. But if you notice, I just typed npm install Express, and it said, hey, it's all good. But nothing actually installed. That's because I need to do an npm init-y, initialize this as a node project. Okay, and now I can do npm install Express, and it'll actually download my node modules. Okay, and of course, if you've got node modules, you want to touch a .git ignore, and in that .git ignore, add your node modules directory so that it's hidden and it won't get uploaded to GitHub Copilot, you know, clunking down the system. Anyways, so yeah, if you come over here and we do our node index.js, okay, it's still working. And since while we're working on this, I'm also going to do an npm install nodemon. That way we don't have to keep stopping and restarting our server, where we come over here and say start. Should just be nodemon index.js. And so now if I type npm start, clean exit, all good. Okay, and if I make any changes like to any file, then it'll restart everything, and we don't have to come down to the terminal and hit Control-C, node index again. Okay, cool. So we have our data imported, and we're going to use this file as the entry point of the application. We're going to use our GitHub Copilot to make an Express server. So say Express.js Server. And so, boom, the moment I said that, it said const import Express. It knew that we had to import Express. And then next up will be create an Express application, where we've instantiated an instance of Express using this variable of app. And then we can define a simple route, where we'd say something like at hello world, it will return that message of hello world. We may also want to, while we're up here defining stuff, maybe just underneath there, I'd const of port, and I like 8080, that's just me. And then once we have that, then be sure to say, hey, make server listen. And you say app.listen, pass in the port that we declared just a second ago, that 8080, and say, hey, console is running, or server is running on port 8080 down here in the console. And we can see if that's actually true or not by coming over here and going localhost 8080. Cannot get, but that's not our endpoint. Our endpoint's hello world. So we come over here and say hello world, message, there's our hello world. So we're all good and we've actually got data. But how do we get this data with all of these famous people that we work so hard on? Well, that's easy, okay? We come back over to our index.js, and now that we've imported the data, then you're going to want to define a simple route that serves the data. So it'd be it'd be the instance of our Express application using the get HTTP verb at the endpoint /data, where you'd have your rec and your res as part of the Node.js asynchronous promise environment, where in your response, you'd give a JSON response that includes that data. And that should be it. Save, it restarts our server right here, and instead of this hello world endpoint, we go to data, and boom. There's all of the data in the browser that we spun up and created in our prior lesson. So, thank you so much for tuning in with this lesson. We're going to continue using the GitHub Copilot AI tool in our very next lesson to actually create a static website that renders this web page. And let's maybe use GitHub Copilot to make it prettier if we have time. Hope to see you there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.